So that is what it is. Ryan Clark, I've not had a chance to chat with you since all of this happened. What is your take on the Aaron Rodgers of it all?
I mean, that we shouldn't be surprised. Is anybody surprised that Aaron Rodgers acted entitled, that he was self-centered, that there was an air of arrogance to the way that he approached this with the media and the way that he decided to not follow the protocols? Is there also any surprise that the Green Bay Packers didn't force him to, that the Green Bay Packers didn't say, Aaron Rodgers, these are the rules, Aaron Rodgers, this is what's expected of you, and so do it? Because we saw Aaron Rodgers not do any of those things the entire offseason. And so for this to be something that comes out now that he slightly deceived, that he was a wordsmith with the way that he used his words as it pertained to vaccinations, I don't think that there's anybody who's sitting at their house doing this show or anyone sitting in that studio that believes that. This is a continuation of who he's always been, because he's a very good football player, and very good football players that play the position that he plays kind of get to do what the hell they want. And he's even taken that to a different level now, not caring about those around him, not caring about the rules and regulations, and thinking that he is above the law. But when your team kind of made you feel that way, walking back into training camp with a Kevin shirt on, maybe you are.
What do you think?
Yeah. People are going to tell you who they are, and it's up to you to believe them or not. And all that we've seen to this point is the consistency of who Aaron Rodgers is, right? Talking about the preseason, holding out and saying, I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm going to be traded, all these demands. And he comes back and lists a 14-minute interview of all the things that the team did wrong and how he was right. Then you go to even in your, I mean, that's what he did, right?
Right.
But then he got lauded by a lot of people in the media, right? Fans. Well, he called them out. He spoke his truth, all these things. And now we're shocked that he went and did something that he thought was best for him and his whatever he believes. And so, I'm not surprised. No one should be surprised. This is consistent with who Aaron Rodgers is. Now, on the team side, I don't believe that guys in the locker room care as much about his vaccination status. I think they're more about be available so we can win. The fact that he's not available for this game is a big deal. But if he comes back in a week and a half and 10 days and he is available for that next game and they win, everyone's going to forget about it, because to the point of he is a good football player, and that, in a lot of reasons in locker rooms, is what people care about.
To be clear, he is eligible, if everything goes perfectly, to come back next Saturday, which will be the day before their Seattle game.
If everything goes perfectly, right? He has to stay away for 10 days. As an unvaccinated player, he has to stay away for 10 days. He can come back after 10 days if he has not shown any symptoms and if the doctors clear him to come back. So don't sit there and assume that he's not going to miss the Seattle game as well. It's entirely possible he misses 2 games, and obviously we've talked about this many times. There's only one bye. That could be costly.
What do you think, Nico?
I think this is a perfect example of the team is absolutely terrified of Aaron Rodgers. They are walking on eggshells in the preseason before the season started because he didn't show up to training camp. Whatever you need, Aaron Rodgers will help you out. Well, then he comes back, and they are absolutely terrified to hold him accountable to what the rules are. The rules are the rules. So if you are the high-ranking quarterback and you're the highest paid guy, should you be able to bend the rules? No. But in this instance, he is, because guess what? Somebody's afraid to say, hey, Mr. Rodgers, could you put your mask on, please? And he looks at him with, what, you're talking to me? And they're absolutely terrified of him.
There are a lot of people who are afraid to say a lot of stuff when it comes to the vaccination issue. I mean, that's not just in sports, right? So let's put this all on the table. Here are the rules in the NFL. They're different. If you're unvaccinated, you are deliberately putting yourself at greater risk of missing games and being unavailable to your team. That is just based on what the NFL and NFLPA rules are. Carson Wentz has done it. Kirk Cousins has done it. These guys have at least been up front and said what they believe and why, and you see Carson Wentz wearing a mask.
Well, I wanted to make that point right now. That shot we just saw of Aaron Rodgers whispering in Kyler Murray's ear and being as close face-to-face as you could possibly be after the game a week and a half ago. He's not wearing a mask. At the beginning of the show today, we showed you Carson Wentz greeting Mike White at midfield last night. He was wearing a mask.
It's not a rules violation if Aaron Rodgers is not wearing a mask outside, right? When you're outdoors. Wentz is being extra cautious here, which is at least something, right? I mean, like, if you make a selfish decision, you're at least saying, okay, I'm going to own my selfish decision, and I'm going to be careful to make sure that doesn't impact other people around me. Aaron Rodgers has not done that, and in fact, he's been deceitful about it.
Quick final word, RC, go.
Like I said all I had to say. Like, we know what this is about. This is about Aaron Rodgers only caring about Aaron Rodgers, about Aaron Rodgers' feelings being above all others. And we've seen that throughout the offseason. People get to make these choices, but organizations do not. And if you're the Green Bay Packers, you have to hold him accountable. You have to make sure that he is as responsible as anyone else who is in his position. But why would they do that when they haven't even done that as it pertains to them and playing football? And so Aaron Rodgers did whatever the hell he wanted to do because people allowed him to.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.